So between the last 24 to 48 hours, it seems like WWE has really stepped their game up as far as the overall feeling for their product. Because before Evolution, before this weekend was concerned, you know, if you asked me and if you asked a lot of other fans kind of what their hype was as far as the overall product for WWE, it would kind of be grim, right? But now that we had that killer Evolution PLE tonight from Monday Night Raw, the first, hour and a half, so to speak, was all women's wrestling. And then afterwards, you had the gauntlet match. We had the return also of the OTC Roman Reigns. I don't know really, if you ask me why they're going by OTC 1. There was rumors going around that he's going to go by the original Tribal Chief 1. It kind of makes you think like it gives off the impression of like, hey, is this guy like a Terminator or something? That's kind of ridiculous. But regardless, I think going into SummerSlam, now SummerSlam is 2 nights this year, and I think now we have a clear picture of what we're getting. We're getting CM Punk and Gunther as the World Heavyweight Championship match. We're getting John Cena and Cody Rhodes as the WWE Championship match. And we also got to announce a 3-way triple threat for the Women's Championship here on Raw. That being Io Sky against Rhea Ripley against Naomi. I think to give my early predictions of this match, I think it has to be Naomi, just simply for the fact that she just won it. And I don't really see her losing this quickly. 3 weeks into her title reign, I don't really see her losing that quickly. But Naomi as a character, she just fits, right? She just fits here on Raw. She fits with her whole presentation. And obviously, it seems like they needed somebody after Liv Morgan got injured to kind of occupy that top heel position. So Naomi is obviously going to do wonders, judging by her first night here on Raw. Now, as far as Seth Rollins is concerned, I was kind of awaiting a major announcement as far as, his status goes. But we kind of got a, brief segment in the back with Paul Heyman. They kind of asked him, regarding Seth Rollins, what's going on with Seth Rollins, as far as his Money in the Bank is concerned. And they kind of, alluded to the fact of, Seth Rollins has a whole year until next June to kind of, used up his Money in the Bank contract. So they kind of just left it at that. He said, I don't have, enough information right now to give you, feedback. Now, I don't want to get too conspiracy theory on everybody, but I've heard rumors and I've heard rumblings of this potentially being part of a story, part of a work. And maybe, now that Punk is going to challenge Gunther at SummerSlam, maybe this is all a setup by Seth Rollins. I don't know if that's 100% what I believe. I've heard the rumors and the rumblings of that, but let me know what you guys think down below as far as that goes. Do you think that the Seth Rollins injury is a work? Personally, if you ask me, I think until I see it, come forth on my television screen, I will believe it. We also got a solid match between Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. This was a 2 out of 3 falls match, with Lyra Valkyria getting the win against Bayley here. So she is going to challenge Becky Lynch at SummerSlam for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. What we do with Bayley at SummerSlam, who knows? Maybe she turns heel during the match or post-match or whatever it may be. What we do with Lyra and Becky, I think Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria, all 3 of these women, really, they put on some of the best performances between all of them within the last couple of months. And I feel like now, I think this is the 3rd match between Lyra and Becky. I feel like, obviously, I think Lyra is going to walk away as the Women's Intercontinental Champion. I think Becky Lynch is, in this position nowadays to really put over somebody like a Lyra, to give her that credibility. And I think if you compare Lyra to before Becky Lynch and now after, during this feud, I think it's night and day. I think Lyra Valkyria has obviously grown with this entire feud. We also got Nikki Bella here. She had a match with Chelsea Green, of all people. I don't know what Chelsea Green was doing on Monday Night Raw when she's a SmackDown superstar, I guess. But, regardless, at the end of the match, we had Stephanie Vaquer and Nikki Bella standing tall. So I guess this is kind of just their make good for both of these women, because they kind of want to still feature Nikki Bella in a sense, because of her name. They also don't have anything to do for Stephanie, before her Clash in Paris title match. So I guess they're kind of just killing 2 birds with 1 stone here. And like I mentioned before, we had this gauntlet match as the main event. It consisted of Braun Breaker, Penta, CM Punk, Jey Uso, and LA Knight. So if you asked me, I was okay with anybody winning other than Jey Uso, because Jey Uso and Gunther, it's like, how many times have we seen that in the past? At this point, it would be so just, unoriginal, just redundant. Like, why would you want to see that at SummerSlam, right? But going into it, I kind of figured Punk was the early favorite. Braun Breaker started off this match and was kind of given the Iron Man treatment. He went all the way towards the end until CM Punk was the last sort of participant in the gauntlet match. They said that this gauntlet match was no DQ, so Bronson Reed got involved on multiple occasions, and I kind of figured the direction they were going to go in, right? Braun Breaker, he's the Iron Man until CM Punk comes in there, and Bronson Reed tries to pick with CM Punk, and then Roman Reigns comes out. I was kind of somewhat on the point there. Did get CM Punk and Braun Breaker. Bronson Reed tried to interfere to give Braun Breaker the assist. Out came Jey Uso. He made the save here. He tried to take out Bronson Reed, and he did. That gave CM Punk the opportunity to get the win over Braun Breaker. So he is going to challenge Gunther, number one, for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. But afterwards, I'm kind of thinking to myself like, hey, okay, so there's no Roman then. So I'm thinking, when are we going to get Roman? Then all of a sudden, you see Bronson Reed come back for the attack. He attacks CM Punk. Jey Uso tries to get involved. Bronson Reed has both man Punk and Jey Uso set up for the double tsunami from the top rope, when all of a sudden you hear Roman Reigns' music, and when I tell you this crowd lost their minds, I can't do it justice. Roman Reigns got the biggest pop that I've seen in a while. Roman Reigns, after I think 3 months or so of being off television, makes his return, takes out Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. He is left standing tall with CM Punk and Jey Uso. He coincidentally helped Jey Uso back up, did not help CM Punk up. So originally with Roman's return, what I was thinking was we were going to get Braun Breaker against Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, but then that kind of leaves out Jey Uso and Bronson Reed. So what are they going to do, right? And now that I've thought about it, I think it's probably going to be Jey Uso teaming with Roman Reigns, his cousin, against Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. And I think that's probably going to be the SummerSlam direction. They haven't fully announced that's going to be the match, but I think obviously judging, by watching the product every week, I think that's probably set in stone as far as that goes. But overall, as far as SummerSlam goes, I think this has the potential to be one of the better PLEs this year. And I think as far as this Raw goes and as far as Evolution is concerned, I think obviously the hype levels for everything have kind of been altered now. They kind of have to, buckle up and, start booking for SummerSlam because we're 3 weeks away from SummerSlam and it's go time for them as far as the build is concerned. But let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know what you thought of tonight's episode of Raw. And until next time, I will see all of you on the next one.